BookTube. Here's a wrap-up from September and October of fantasy and historical fiction.
I got my ticket for the long way round.
September was a really fun reading month for me in terms of fantasy. I had the absolute pleasure of reading a couple of books that were absolutely wonderful. Let me tell you what they were. Retribution Falls by Chris Wooding. This was narrated on audio by RUPERT DEGAS, and oh my gosh, this man is fantastic. I cannot go on and on and on enough about how incredible this guy was as a narrator. He gave every character a specific voice, and I just saw them in my mind. They just came to life in such an amazing way. This is a series, the series is called Tales of the Ketty J. This is book 1, and it is all about sky pirates in a steampunk world. And Captain Frey is the head of a ragtag crew of misfits who kind of do some smuggling, kind of do some Indiana Jones adventures, and they get in trouble. And it's just this wonderful, wonderful story. So, thoroughly enjoyed that one, gave it 5 stars. Black Lung Captain, which is book 2 in the Tales of the Ketty J series, again by Chris Wooding. I read this one in print. Even better. Incredible adventure, just kind of continuing with the character development, Darian Frey and his misfit crew. They have so much fun. This steampunk world is just wonderful to read about and be immersed in. If you've watched the television show Firefly with Nathan Fillion, this is very reminiscent of that. The dialogue is very quick and very witty, and it's just fun. Absolutely cannot say enough good about this series. Boy, when it comes to steampunk fantasy, this is it. It's just fun to read. So I'm buddy reading the next book in the series, the 3rd book, which is called The Iron Jackal, this month with some folks from the BookTube Reading Buddies. And I can't wait to get the book in my hands because I just know it's going to be so good. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is book 1 in the Kingkiller Chronicles. I listened to it on audio, of course, and it was narrated by Nick Podehl. I liked this book a lot. I gave it 4 stars. I did a review on it, which I will put a link down below too, and you can check that out. I had a few problems, but not really very many, and I would recommend it. The Little Prince by Antoine de Experey. This I read in print because it had been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, and it is an allegory, kind of a commentary on philosophical things, and I just didn't get it. Yeah, maybe I'm stupid, but yeah, I gave it 1 star. Exquisite Captive by Heather Demetrios. This was narrated on audio by Erin Mallon. And this is a book, it's YA fantasy, it's about genies, and it's set in LA. There is a different world from which the genies come, but they can be still stuffed in bottles, which I found kind of interesting. This book was pretty standard stuff. I wasn't overly impressed, but I am going to continue with the series, which is called The Dark Caravan Cycle. And I gave this one 3.5 stars, rounded up to 4. And lastly, the historical fiction that I read this month was Written in My Own Heart's Blood by Diana Gabaldon. This is book 8 in the Outlander series. I've been reading this series since 1991, and the books are just, the characters just get richer and richer and richer. Now I have to say this particular book was not my favorite. In fact, it may rank down at the bottom with my least favorites of the series, just because there were a lot of loose ends that were not tied up. There were big spaces of time that were just left to our imagination or to be figured out in the next book. The thing I loved about it was that Jamie and Claire are very much old married people. They've fallen into this rhythm with each other, and this hot passion that they've always had is kind of simmered down to this slow burn. So I really appreciated that. This is a couple in their 60s with children and grandchildren and all kinds of adventures. So that was fun. I gave that one 4 stars. So that's all the fantasy and historical fiction that I read in September and October. I think I'm going to go back to my weekly wrap-ups from here on out. So I will see you next time with one of those. Until then, thanks for watching.
miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my taco. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
Arian Frey! McCard called from his hiding place behind a stack of aircraft tires. You're a dead man! Threats, Frey murmured. Honestly, what's the point?